Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Scale Smart podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and also the founder of Next Scale Growth. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Mirea Cartabbia, the CEO and founder at Beam. Mirea, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Jacob. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here.
Amazing. I'm great to have you on. Mirea, before we get into the flow of the podcast, I want to understand more about you and your experience and what you guys specialize in Beam. So do you mind telling the audience and also myself what led you to becoming the CEO and founder at Beam and what you guys also specialize in?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Together with my co-founder, Leandro, we started Beam in 2022. And we both came from, in a way, from the education background, but also from IT. That was more for him. So for me, I always work in educational project, for example, funded by the EU. I always love to basically give back. Growing up, I really loved learning and studying, but I realized that what I was learning at school was not really easily applicable then in the real life, especially in working life. And that's how we came up with with the idea of Beam. For Leandro was more coming from an IT background and just having the passion of sharing what could do, and also not having a traditional IT background because he studied sociology. So he kind of also entered in IT as a self-learner. And in this way, we were the example that you could get an IT job basically without really having a strong, without having a university background or only a technical background. And of course, the market was changing still very fast. And this requires also the ability to adapt very fast with new skills. And sometimes traditional programs, they are just way more regulated, so they require way longer steps, let's say. This for us was a way to, let's say, creating Beam was a way to go around it and really address the need of upskilling and reskilling in Germany.
And scaling Beam so rapidly since 2022, you guys have gone from 1,500 students and a strong graduation outcomes. Having that must come with some trade-offs. So what would you say were some of the biggest challenges you guys had back then, which you've had to overcome? And then what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you're facing right now within the business when it comes to scaling?
I really think at the beginning, main challenge was to maintain the, let's say, the quality in a way, because of course, when you grow, it's easy to lose focus on maybe what were initial principle, which was small classes and, kind of like personalized training in a way. And when you start to have more students, of course, this becomes more difficult. And this required some, let's say, adaptation, in the teaching style, in also guidelines that you give to teachers, and so on. So this was a big challenge, which I think we addressed quite well now. We're rebalancing a little bit the content of the course and the alone time when the students learn, and so on. But another challenge is the fact that in Germany, the educational upskilling and reskilling industry or market is really strongly regulated. And this regulation also change or evolve in a way quite often. So this also required for all of us the maximum attention. And I mean, of course, the regulation are there for a reason. They need to guarantee a very high learning experience, but this also, let's say, forced us to deal with a lot of bureaucracy that when you are just a small school, it's way easier to manage than when you start to have many students, basically.
And then what would you say from where you guys are now in the company and scaling it to the next level? What are some of the things you guys have got right now which are challenging in terms of scaling the company into the next level?
I think the main challenge is to remain competitive because, as we said also before, this market in general, the tech market change so rapidly, especially now with AI, and we see, how fast it change every year basically, or every 6 months. So the point of our courses is that they give skills to people that help them to get employed. So you don't have the time, let's say, to go as deep as a university program, maybe that is more theoretical. You really do projects, you get skills that then you can immediately use at your job. And with the market changing so fast, I think the key is really to update curriculum fast in a way that the course remain competitive and people can actually find a job at the end. So I think this is the main, one of the main challenge and what we really try to do basically.
And as you're going there about staying competitive, I think the EdTech and, let's say, the boot camp style training is getting quite big in Germany and Europe. So what are you guys doing at Beam to make sure you're staying competitive and differentiating yourself in this increasingly crowded market?
Yeah, so of course, one thing is this constant review of CV of the curriculum, but other things that we do is that we really work close with companies. For example, we have a course now with a company in data consultants that at the end of the course commit to actually hire some of the people that go through the course. And this is a great way to not only attract the students, but also to help the job market in a way, because people are really learning skills that then they know they're going to be useful in their job. So this is, of course, something that for now, we have only with one partner, but we would like to try out with more companies. So, and it gives great insight on what company really needs, because what this specific company in data needs is probably what is needed also by other players. So the idea is to really get as much feedback as possible from the industry and try to create a course that is in a reasonable amount of time effective, let's say. Apart from this, of course, we also use, like everybody, some AI. But for now, our courses are really trainer centered still. So people start every day at 9. This is also due to part of the compliance, let's say, and the regulation in Germany. But in general, there is always an instructor. So they are really instructor led. There is this part where they interact with the teacher. And that for now, we feel it's still very difficult to change in a way, because it really allows this also personalization and one-on-one time with the teacher. But we try to to leverage AI in other ways, like for example, when we check the homework. This is a great way to integrate AI, because also written feedback can be given based on a teacher's instruction, teacher parameters, and so on. And we try to integrate also AI skills in all kind of curriculum. For example, we have a UX UI course, and there we integrate the use of AI tools, because of course this is a great example of how the market changed, because at the beginning was more UX UI design. And then we started to integrate a part about implementation of what was designed. And this is becoming always more and more important and relevant. And also, of course, using a lot of AI, because a lot of, especially small companies, maybe they don't need anymore a team with a lot of people, but they need somebody that is also able to implement a design concretely, let's say. Of course, you still need, developers to fine tune it and so on, but the tools are changing really fast. And that's what I meant when I said that we really need to check what tools companies are using and try to integrate them in our courses, so that, because most likely this is what people then are going to do after the end of the course. They are going to use those AI tools to do their jobs. So if they can do it professionally and on top of some other skills, it's always better basically for them and to be competitive on the market.
So is it just the German market which you guys operate in?
Yes, for now, it's a German market, but actually, it's the right day that we are talking, because we're going to soon launch also in Austria, and just got, before talking to you, the confirmation that this is happening. We also went through the certification there and so on. So for now, this is the main market. Despite the fact that we operate in German and Austria, we have courses also in English. So we have both options, German and English. But we feel that Austria is just the first next step, and then we would like definitely to expand in more countries.
And you just slightly touched on AI and UX UI there. and the integrations of the AI courses which you guys have got, where do you see AI going, especially within the education and EdTech field? How do you see it tying into what you guys are hoping to do with new courses or potentially streamlining processes which you didn't think were potentially possible?
So I think there are two levels. So of course, the first level is the way how we teach, because as I mentioned, for now it's still relatively limited to very specific things like checking homeworks and some small feedback, for example, and so on. But of course, this is changing so fast that I'm also sure maybe now we cannot even imagine it, but we will have at some point other innovation that we can use there. And maybe, it won't substitute the teacher, but it will definitely help the teacher even more. Maybe it will be even a more responsive assistant, or maybe it will be like a personalized trainer, let's say, used together with the teacher in the main class. So I think this part will definitely be very important in the upcoming month. I don't think we are really talking about many years now, but I think it's more like a month situation. But of course, we also have to consider the fact that we are, that in Europe AI is strictly regulated. So even now, when it deals with personal data, there are a lot of things that you need to consider and take care of. So I think this might slow down a little bit the application of certain tools, especially if they deal with these personal data. There are some things to consider there. And of course, the other level is the fact that future careers will definitely use AI more and more. This UX UI, it's I think a great example, because it's not something that you will necessarily associate with AI, or you can think very superficially that you can just create images with AI, but that's not really the point. That's why I think it's a good idea to integrate those tools in the course. And I think we will see this in so many other professions. So, for example, in web development, in many other fields. Of course, data is the best example, because you need data. But I think also in other professions like web development, definitely we will see always more and more the use of AI. And what will be our challenge is to understand what tools we should integrate and how this profession can change, so that we can give our students the tools to then be able to find a job, basically, after the
Hmm.
end of the course, which
Hmm.
is our goal, of course.
Yeah. And on the topic of goals, you obviously mentioned you guys have expanded into Austria now, and you're planning to expand into other countries as well in the future. But looking ahead now, Mirea, for the company, what are some of the things you guys have got planned for the future which you would like to share with us?
Yeah. So apart from this expansion in Austria, definitely our emphasis is on this lifelong learning process. So we really think that with the market changing so fast, we all need to constantly learn. And I think we can really all relate on this, because if I think my life, when I started the school, the company, there was no chat GPT. So a lot of time also went to write a documentation and so on. And now this process is really, in a way, optimized for me, because I know what I'm talking about. So I know how to write the prompt and so on. So I think what we will do as BIM in the future is definitely continue this constant research that start with how we work, basically, and how our partners, companies that work with us, work, and integrate those skills in our courses, so that for example, next year we are thinking of launching new programs. And of course, all those programs will use some level of AI, because in the kind of jobs that we teach, this is part of the drill. That's what we need to teach also our students. And we also have always other small projects. Our focus is really on upskilling and reskilling. So we work with a lot of migrants, a lot of women. So in general, people who were doing a different job before, and now they need to reskill in order to re-enter the job market. So we will continue this, and we hope to bring this also in other countries, because right now in Germany there is a very good support system for this, but probably there are options and potentials also in other countries, and we would love to explore that and do what we do here in Germany also somewhere else, basically.
Amazing, amazing. And if people wanted to find you, Maria, potentially engage with you, where's the best place for people to get involved?
Well, you can, of course, write us from in our website, and I'll also recommend our social media. We are starting always new communication campaign. We recently hired a great social media manager she's really doing a great job. And there you can learn not only about our courses, but also our team culture and insights on the tech market in Germany, but I would say overall in Europe.
Amazing. Now, Maria, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. It's been great hearing about your journey and also what plans you've got for the future with Beam. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for the invitation. It was great meeting you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.